and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Folks, we're about to hear the story of these wonderful people who are sipping on their mimosas, and then out of the vote blue, no matter who, came a bus of 50 migrants who, again, look, the way what DeSantis and Abbott have been doing to these innocent people, these actions will come back to haunt the American people, because we have to remember why there's a refugee crisis at the border, why people are crossing into America because of U.S. Foreign policy in Central and South America, the ridiculous war on drugs, regime change wars, coups that are happening here. And I can tell you this, we wouldn't like it if somebody did that to us. Now, I don't know what will happen, but someday we're going to need help. I don't know what crisis will impact us, but we're going to need help. And the way we have treated people, the way our federal and state politicians have been treating people, especially seeking asylum, seeking refugee status, seeking a safer land to live in, to raise their families, it's going to come back at us. And the thing is, there's this idea of sanctuary cities. And I understand what happened with Martha's Vineyard. I get it. Like, oh, they were caught off guard. However, these people at Martha's Vineyard need to stop patting themselves on the back, okay? And I've been seeing on Twitter where people have said, oh, they weren't kicked out. They were just moved to a military facility in Cape Cod, which I got to say, you still kicked them out, people of Martha's Vineyard.
Since when does Cape Cod have a military facility?
I don't get it either. But look, there's no excuse. I mean, because the thing is, what a lot of these sanctuary cities have done, including here in Chicago, as our wonderful Mayor Lori Lightfoot have done, especially putting the migrants who came to Chicago into DuPage County, is they have proven that the sanctuary cities is just name only. And of course, these Republican governors know that in these states, there are areas which are not sanctuary cities in which the people then get deported back. Chicago has the Gary Chicago International Airport in Indiana, where anyone in the Midwest who's a migrant worker is chained up like an animal, climb up these stairs up to the airplane, and then deported right back to their country of origin. Same thing for Martha's Vineyard. I want to pull this little segment from the most outstanding source news out there, CNN, of course, and where CNN is saying, where the people at Martha's Vineyards are saying, they enriched us. Migrants' 44-hour visit leaves an edible mark on Martha's Vineyard. Oh, God, those wonderful people drinking their mimosas. After sharing hugs and teary goodbyes with roughly 50 migrants who had arrived unexpectedly by plane on this affluent vacation island, the volunteers who sheltered them at Episcopal Church carried
Episcopal Church,
Episcopal, there you go. I read that wrong. Oh my goodness. Church carried out tables and chairs, packed food onto trucks, and folded portable cots. A familiar quiet had descended by Friday. Oh, they were back to normal. They're back to normal.
Oh, thank God.
They had to go back to brunch Friday afternoon on the tree-lined downtown block of Martha's Vineyard, where Jackie Stallings, 56, could not stop thinking about a young Venezuelan. She was 23 but looked 15, who sat with her in the St. Andrew's Parish house the night before. She said, okay, I'm going to feed you, but then you got to get the hell out of here. Which is what she did. The asylum seekers showed Stallings a cell phone video taken during the journey across a remote Central American jungle, pointing out migrants who died along the way. So here's the thing. People in Martha's Vineyard, look, I understand that this bus rocked your world and you were taken aback. But the thing is, by removing them off of Martha's Vineyard, or either that, not actually having them stay and actually proving these Republican governors' point, you guys are like just as bad as they are. The thing is, look, this arduous march to come to America, I know for a fact I couldn't make it. Crossing these jungles, these hostile terrains, these deserts, war zones, conflict areas, gang territory. A lot of these people probably have in their homes, this house is Black Lives Matter. We respect all people. We love everyone. No one is illegal. But when push came to shove, you still removed them off, right? And the thing is, I wonder what the follow-through is going to be for all these people who said, oh, yeah, they really left a mark. It was like she was showing me cat videos. So here's the thing. People died, and this person from Martha's Vineyard is like, oh, it's like a cat video. But it was actually their journey and what they endured to get here. So she compares it to a cat video.
Yeah.
There were bodies and moms with babies trying to get through mud that was like clay. And you're comparing it to a cat video, lady. What's wrong with you? The heartbreaking part is seeing these beautiful young ladies become desensitized, said her husband, Larkin Stallings, 66, and hold on, let's read a little more of that. Apologies for that. And Oak Bluffs bar owner who sits on the nonprofit board. For them, they just flip and show you a picture. Wow. Okay, great. It should also call, hey, buddy. I guess that's Larkin. Hey, buddy. Look, there's a reason why they're escaping. It's because of Democratic and Republican politicians for the past decades have been implementing these ridiculous regime change wars, coups, and war on drugs that have cost not only all the people that came to Martha's Vineyard, but numerous people before them to try and make the arduous march to America. Because again, it's our foreign policy by both Democratic and Republican presidential administrations that's doing this. But hey, compared to a cat video, Stallings cut him off. She was like, look, this one died, part of their original party, and he died, and this one died. The mud is like up to here to them. She said Friday in the shade of her parish house porch, pointing to her thigh. You see them. They literally had to lift their legs out in the mud. They die because they get stuck. During the whirlwind 44-hour visit this week, migrants like the young Venezuelan woman left an inevitable mark under accidental hosts in this isolated enclave known as a summer playground for former U.S. presidents, celebrities, and billionaires, all of which have connections to probably that scumbag who owned an island. His name rhymes with Pepstein.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
There you go. I mean, again, whatever. Whatever.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously the article, I could read all of this, but what this is, what this article is to make these people in Martha's Vineyard to be heroes when they're not. They just waved bye-bye. So Farron, your thoughts?
Well, you hit the nail on the head with one part of it where they remind me of all of the suburban white moms in DC who have their their $1 million row houses that have the BLM signs in the window. That's like, we are pro BLM. Like, love lives in this house. And it's like, bitch, you only have a BLM poster in your window so that they don't come down and start breaking your windows. Okay. Like, we all know why you're doing it. Number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, like, these folks remind me, have you ever seen Arrested Development?
Yes.
These folks remind me exactly of Lucille Bluth. Like, where they're like with their rich little snotty behavior. And then, the son comes in and she's like, what? She's like, Lupita, like, do you have an exit strategy for your vacuuming? And he's like, Mom. And she's like, what? We don't pay them to be our friends. Like, it's one of these, like, that's how these people are, like it's one of these things like where I just see Lucille Bluth every time I see these people because they like to act like they're doing them a favor. Here you go, honey. Like now, my fur is worth more than your home. Oh, don't worry, Michael. They don't even have a home. Like it's all of those people that are just, they think that they're like these godlike people that are helping all these folks. And it's just like, you'll say the right words, you'll have the right posters, you'll have the right, flag in your profile, you'll have all of the right stuff to do. But when it comes down to actually like following through and helping folks, you're never going to do it. You guys are the first ones to say, okay, little Lupita, like, now where can I send you off now? Oh no, we didn't deport her or ship her off. There was just
got moved.
There just happened to be a church that wanted to help them more than I did. It's like, oh wow, that your PR people are great.
Now, I do want to bring this up here because, again, good friend of the show and host of Chicago Corner on Tuesdays, Kira McCown is in the chat. She says, I don't think they're comparing the videos to cat videos. I think they're just saying the migrants who were desensitized, they were flippantly showing the videos. That's how I read it. And you know what, Kira? Yeah, you're probably right. But the thing is, I just think the way that person from Martha's Vineyard just described it, there was a far better way she could have done it just to explain it. I also want to bring up this too. And again, Kira, you're absolutely on point with this. I actually shared this on Friday's show, and you can see that video clipped as well. But Kira says migrants come to Chicago are getting shipped to the suburbs. And most notably, that's DuPage County, where some were sent, where there's a Republican mayor. Now, in that Republican mayor's defense, hang on, it's very short. He was caught off guard when Mayor Lightfoot did that, our Democratic mayor of the city of Chicago. Chicago is supposedly a sanctuary city. But as we've covered, at Hardlands Media's covered in 2018, there is the Gary Chicago International Airport, where, again, people from Wisconsin, Michigan, Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, they are sent there. to be
Mhm.
deported back. So I hope I'm wrong. And I do hope that people will message me in the chat, be like, hey, Kit, you were wrong about Martha's Vineyard. Hey, Kit, you were wrong about the migrants sent to DuPage County. They're being set up. They're safe. They're okay. And that's great. And if that's the case, awesome. However, I'm being cynical here. I fear the worst. And on top of that, what happens if DeSantis and Abbott, the governors of Florida and Texas, decide to do this again and again and again? They're playing with people's lives here, and it's quite clear that the sanctuary cities were never really set for this. If they weren't set for 50 people to be unexpectedly dropped off of their location by the heartless actions of these Republican governors, what's stopping these Republican governors sending 100 or thousands of buses? I mean, there's no stopping them. If they were willing to do this before, they're going to do it again and again and again. And it's very sad to hear this. So I want to bring up something else here, and I want to give a huge shout out to her. She is a good friend of the show, Sabrina Sabby Sabs. Please follow her on Twitter and also check out her show as well. Martha's Vineyard's actions towards migrants just proves my point about elite liberals, and you brought this up too, Farron, in Massachusetts. Most of the housing is vacant right now because it's not tourist season. Liberals here support the issues, but they don't want it in their backyard. I'm discussing this tonight. All right, everyone be sure to check out her show after our show, of course. But Farron, your thoughts real quick.
So I'm actually in DuPage County right now, outside of Chicago, and used to be a very, very red county, one of the reddest counties back like in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, outside of Orange County, California, outside of LA. It has slowly started to kind of see a little bit of like a purple hue to it. But it's the same damn thing with Martha's Vineyard, where you have these folks that are going to sit there and say, oh, I want to help. The same thing with these suburban white moms out in Burr Ridge. You have your Hinsdale, you have, your other parts of DuPage County. They're starting to see this and they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. But also, in the governor's defense, as you said, these governors were like, no, we never said that we were the sanctuary city, Lori Lightfoot. You did. And now the fact that you can't handle it, and mind you, Lori Lightfoot has thousands of other problems going on,
Agreed.
She's still trying to clean up the summer of love they were supposed to have with, no crime happening. But again, just taking these and shipping these off to the people in the suburbs, folks. I don't know if you know Chicago culture or not, but so many businesses are leaving the downtown area and coming to those suburbs like Naperville in DuPage County. And they're leaving because of all the crime. You have the CEO of McDonald's worldwide that's in downtown Chicago. They're saying, we want to stay here, but people are afraid to come to work. And Lori Lightfoot's doing nothing. And it's almost like people are, here in Chicago, they're like, oh, she's going to try to maybe blame this on the migrants coming now, even though she said it's a sanctuary city. It's a mess. And of course, she's just going to ship the problem off somewhere else, but they have this big heart to help those in need, right? It's preposterous.
Well, speaking of big hearts, I want to talk about a humanitarian. Actually, you know what, Farron? He's actually getting him and his fantastic wife. They're getting the band back together. That's right. We're going to hear about the Clinton Initiative and what Bill Clinton had to say about the migrants who came to Martha's Vineyard.
By the way, guys, spoiler alert, don't remember Haiti at all. Like, just totally block it out of your mind. Pretend that Haiti never happened with the Clinton Foundation. Go ahead, Kit.
Whoa. Haiti? I mean, come on. Everything turned out fine, right? No, it didn't.
He's sending Venezuelans.
This guy.
Who were coming here freeing the successor to Hugo Chavez's disaster.
So, first of all, I doubt that the ruler of Venezuela is purposely kicking all of his people out. I mean, again, the sanctions on Venezuela are devastating the populace. People are starving. Again, U.S. foreign policy causing people to leave.
Because the guy doesn't want to go and he has no economic answers, right? So he sends them to Martha's Vineyard. Why? Because Martha's Vineyard is this.
And again, last I checked, Farron, audience, correct me if I'm wrong, it wasn't the president of Venezuela that sent them to Martha's Vineyard. It was the governors of Texas and Florida who did that, right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah,
okay.
No, you're correct.
Okay. Symbol of where the elite
Sometimes
goes
I go
to
crazy.
vacation.
The elite goes to
And
vacation.
for people who know more on the East Coast, it was also the first place that welcomed Black professionals and business people from the South to come and live on equal terms in a community that was largely created for religious reflection and study. So it's,
Even he
that's
doesn't
what's going
believe his
on.
bullshit.
And I don't know what Massachusetts is going to do, but I'll bet that they will make those people feel at home. He's sending.
Yeah. Oh, they made him feel homo, right? By kicking them right out. That's President Bill Clinton. Farron, when I heard him talk like this, I knew for a fact he was BSing. The reporter, the look that he just gave him was, dude, I'm not being paid enough for this, even though a lot of those reporters are getting paid a ridiculous amount of money just to give us misinformation. Folks, like I said, these actions will come back to haunt us. The way these politicians have been treating people who have no power whatsoever, it's going to haunt the American people. We are going to suffer the consequences and repercussions of these politicians and their lack of action and understanding how their policies worldwide are impacting people and how these policies will also impact us domestically. This will severely impact us. And there might be a day where the rest of the world is finally looking at America begging for help, and they might just say no. They just might say no. Farron, your thoughts?
Well, I was going to say, as we kind of all here do, we hate both sides because the Democrats never follow through. The Republicans never do what they're going to say. However, I will say this. You got to give it to the Republicans. The Republicans said, hey, you keep the borders open, we are shipping them to your backyard. You know what? They've been doing it. For the first time in a long time, we've seen Republicans follow through on what they said that they're going to do. And here we're seeing Democrats here. Oh, yeah, we're going to welcome them with open arms. And they're not following through. And that's where, again, you're starting to see more and more of these clashes where you do see the Republican Party where they're just, they have zero F's given now. They don't care. They're just going to go ahead and do it. They're not going to care about the votes anymore because at this point, the Democrats are so in deep with, the problems between inflation, Joe Biden. They don't have any good candidates at all, really, that are making any sense out there. They don't have an actual message. They don't follow through on anything that they're going to say. Nobody's felt like they've been helped. And then all of a sudden you have this, we're going to get rid of COVID. And then they're going to keep you in masks and all this other stuff. They're going to keep telling you to get the boosters. And then all of a sudden, oh yeah, it's just over now. And it's like, wait, what? So you wonder why Republicans are fed up and you wonder why nobody wants to vote Democrat, and that whole vote blue no matter who, that ain't going to work this time. But Republicans also are going to have to give up their Bibles, I think, a little bit too, if they want to get more votes, because, the abortion issue is a really big thing. But back to all of this though, you got to give it to the Republicans. They're doing what they're saying that they're going to do, at least in this sense of the whole immigration and the border debacle.
So here's the thing. It would be unfair for me to say I have a solution that could solve this problem. Unfortunately, I don't. I would say we have to end our foreign policy, what we're doing to our neighbors in Central and South America, but that's easier said than done. So what can be done? First of all, folks, we have to break away from voting Democrat or Republican. When Joe Rogan said, hey, vote Republican, okay, I get it, because people are angry with the Democratic Party. And the thing is, both parties are inherently corrupt. I say vote third party, vote independent, build movements and organizations that are not connected to Washington, D.C. And let's look at how how both parties have not only effectively abandoned the American people, but how they treat people seeking asylum and safety from nations that are being severely impacted by the war on drugs, by U.S. foreign policy. We have to be better than this. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that all these migrants are able to get on their feet, able to actually set up good lives for themselves. I hope that. I wish for the best for them. But I'm afraid that they will be deported. And I hope
they will be.
That the moderators, as people will say in the chat, hey, Kit, you were wrong. I want to read that. I want to read that more than anything. But after being at the Gary Chicago International Airport way back in 2018, I'm expecting the worst. And people, Martha's Vineyard, just a little heads up. Are you going to double check on those people that were just kicked out of your little fancy island? Because please, if anything, do a follow through. Just don't sit there drinking mimosas if you actually give a damn. But I don't think they do. So there we go.
Yeah. And, I'll even say too, I was a news anchor in El Paso for about a year and a half. And I saw what was going on with the border. I saw, kind of the post crisis. I was there when Trump got in, and people were very, very worried about what was going to be happening as far as the border issue and immigration and what have you. And these border towns truly they know. It's almost kind of like they've become like sanctioned cities where they've had to rely on themselves to deal with all of this, in the way that we like sanction Russia and Venezuela and all them, where they've just had to become self-reliant. But now with it just kind of overflowing, I don't blame a lot of these cities down south who have been dealing with this for so long. A lot of the foundations and stuff at the border, for example, in El Paso, a lot of it's not the government helping these people. It's the people in those towns helping the people, like, the Knights of Columbus and, the Big Brothers and Big Sisters. And you have all these other foundations that are helping these people versus the government. And when you just have an influx of all these people, they're like, we can't do this anymore. You're not helping us. Even though Democrats say that they're going to help, they're going to come and fix it. They never do, and that's the biggest problem, I think, in all of this, is that government, that they act like you need them so much, but then when you actually do, they're like, la 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 la. I'm sorry, I can't do anything, and the American people are sick of it on both sides.
Agreed.
sides.
Agreed.
Mhm.
That's a good note to end it